I never really thought that language barrier could be something someone experiences when they're communicating with someone and they're speaking the same language. So you can be two people communicating in English, but you still don't understand each other because of things like dialect and accent. I was never prepared for that, to be fair. And also, it was my first time hearing something like the a South African accent. Like I had no idea that South Africans actually have an accent because you'd meet people and be like, "Ah, I can judge from the way you talk that you're from South Africa," and you're like, really, you know. So it was those kind of things, and also with the food also shocked me as well because in my country there is a KFC, and the my workplace provided us with food when we first came, and the first meal we had was a KFC meal. So the difference is it looks the same, but I found KFC this side to be bland than the KFC in my country, and I'm like, okay, where is the salt? You know, so it's things like that, and then you get to realize that, oh my god, there are salt policies here, so it means the food is much blander than like what you're used to. And luckily for me, I came with my spices from home, and those are still the spices I'm still using today. So if I'm cooking, I don't get to experience the blandness of food as much because I'm using the spices from home. But ordering takeout is not exciting because you're like, "Ugh, you know what, it is what it is," because you're gonna get bland food anyway. So that was something I was not prepared for.
So talking about accent and food, did anything also surprise you the most?
The flushing system. The flushing system.
The
I'm
flashing system.
yeah. Wow. I think it's top one of one because honestly, where I come from, more often than not, you just flush once and leave. But here it's like you have to. You know what? No shade, but this is something I was not expecting. This is like here, it's like when you find a toilet that you have to flush only once, you're like, you know. And in my country, if you find a toilet that you need to flush more than once, like, you know, like they need to do better, and then life goes on. But here, it's not as straightforward. And I think I made a video about this on my TikTok because I was really shocked that, like, I didn't understand that on some toilets you have to like have patience and actually learn how it works, because just pulling down the knob once is not enough. You'd have to pull once or pull multiple times or pull down and hold. And where I come from, that's just not a thing. You just pull down and you leave. So that was number one. And another thing that I can think of right now that surprised me the most, is the people. All right. So in my country, greeting is a thing. It's such a thing that even when you get into a public taxi, you greet the strangers that you meet there. And then here, it's not a thing. They don't greet. But I also made a post about this once on my account, and someone said to me, they're not greeting you because you're not white. It's like, okay, but still, I found it strange, you know, especially especially if I find myself in situations where, like, let's say I'm in a shop and I need some sort of assistance. it's it's awkward for me to just walk to a person and start saying I want this, that, and the other. Like, the first thing I'm taught is greet, you know. But even when you do, like, you don't get any response, and at a certain point you do get annoyed because, like, what the hell, you know. So those are the things but at first it annoyed me, but now I'm like, you know what, this is how life is this side. I guess I'll keep the greetings to my African people as well, because I'm quite aware that other, like, African national people from African nationalities do greet, but it's just the yeah. So I'm not sure if it's the race thing, because to be fair, there are also white people that do greet, but yeah, it is what it
Oh,
is.
okay. Great. Lerato, what are some of the things that you didn't know about UK before you arrived?
So I, hmm. Okay, right now I can only speak from my experience, right?
Oh, okay.
And I feel like, yeah, I feel like what I wasn't told was that it's very easy for life, it's very fast paced, number one, and the working hours are different. For example, where I'm from, if you work a full day, it's from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. But here, the a full day is 7 in my line of work, that is, it's 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. So that's like 14 hours of work. And it was very strange for me to get used to. But then again, you realize that, okay, even the weather here somehow allows it, because we are right now it's spring, and the sun sets at 9:30 to 10. So those are the things that I didn't know. And for a person who's not used to those things, it kind of messes up with your sleep pattern, with your sleeping pattern, because by 9 you're expecting it to be dark, and then you're here, and then it's still light out. But then in winter, as it was when I came here, the sun sets at 4 p.m. in the afternoon. So it's like the weather is in the extremes. It's not what you used to. And I think another thing that they don't tell us is that it's not that easy to make friends. To be honest, it's not that easy to make friends, and you feel quite alone in a way that you've never experienced.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, those are the things I feel like I wasn't told.
Great. So, talking about friendship and relationships, let me ask you: do white men in the UK often find African women attractive? Yeah, in terms of dating.
I've seen that. I've seen that, to be fair. I've seen that. Yeah, to a certain extent, it's just not every white guy that's going to be into black girls, but there are white guys that seem fascinated when they meet black women. Yeah, I would say that it's true to a certain extent. Yeah.
Great. To a certain extent, I like the way you say to a certain extent. So I want to ask you: have you dated a white guy before? Because I wanted us to dive into the dating cultural differences.
And so I'm not gonna lie, I haven't been that much into dating since I got here. But what I can say is that my first attempt was an epic fail. My first attempt was literally an epic fail, and the gag is it wasn't even with a British guy. You know, it wasn't even with a British guy, but it was with a guy who had been in the UK for much longer than I have been. So one can say that maybe they got accustomed to the UK dating culture and tried to implement it on me. And obviously, I was shocked. That's how it went to hell. But I also wouldn't want to attribute that one experience that I had to the whole UK dating culture, because I feel like I haven't experienced it fully. But based on what like yeah, based on my experience, I've had some difficulties.
I see. I'm not going to talk much on these dating cultural differences. I decided to talk on it, but I'm not going to talk much on it. Any advice for anyone who wants to travel abroad?
Okay, so the first thing I would advise anyone who would like to travel is, number one, have your why, right? Have your reason why you want to travel abroad, and it should be a why that is for you and not for anyone else. And it should be so strong, so much that even when you get here and experience all the challenges that being alone comes with, when you think of it, it just gives you the strength to carry on. That's number one. And number two, to do like extensive research about what is it exactly that you need in order to come here and make your transition from your country to this side to be like seamless, because there are a lot of things that could go wrong if you rush yourself, and some of those things that go wrong can actually hurt your pockets, which is something that is not necessary, especially if you're moving to another country. So it would be, have your strong why and do extensive research on what is it that you need to do, and don't rush the process of moving to your country to here, because there's a lot of things that you can do impulsively if you rush yourself to come here, that you can find yourself being a victim to scams and all those other things. So if you take it, if you make, do your, have your why, do your research, and take your time to prepare yourself for coming here, then it makes it seamless and you get to transition without being a victim to any scams.
So, any shout outs to family and friends? You can also add up your social media handles to it.
Yeah, I can. I don't mind. I would like to send a special shout out to my sister. Lungile ntwana yami. Oh my God, angisakukhumbuli. Oh, yo. And my mother too. I love you guys so much. I'd like to send a shout out to my friends. Zandi, I can't wait for you to get here as well. Usne Numkateko, Nyankhumbula, my friends. And yeah, my social media on TikTok and Instagram, I'm more active on TikTok though, is Lerato 3. Wait, it's Lerato_Makalima 3. Yes.